Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is Grand Cruise Astrology. My name is Clayton. Today, we're going to talk about Mars and Saturn in the sky at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Now, this is important. These two planets they come together once every couple of years, and when they come together, they are can be a very challenging energy because they are two very contrasting energies. But I think what makes this one a little bit more significant is the fact that these two energies are coming together at 0 degrees of Aquarius. 0 degrees of any sign can represent new beginnings. And when you have a conjunction of Mars and Saturn at 0 degrees of Aquarius, I think it has special significance about a new beginning happening in the area of, well, Aquarian things, which represents the group structure. How do we relate as a group? What do we need to put in place as a group? So, Saturn in Aquarius is very comfortable. Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius. But Mars is a more individual energy. So, there could be some tension here between these two planets. So, Mars and Saturn. Saturn was considered by the ancients to be the greater malefic, and Mars considered to be the lesser malefic, both malefic. And the word malefic is going to have some negative connotations in our language. Um, Understand that Mars and Saturn, they're extreme. They are a bit extreme on both sides of the extreme. So that's why they cause problems because in and of themselves they they kind of need balancing, right? They need to be put in check. But when in this case they're coming together and they're right on top of one another, this can be it's up to us to be very mindful and conscious of how we're integrating these energies because if we're not, then we can swing from one to another or feel ourselves in polarity on one or the other. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these energies and what they are so that we can recognize them. Mars as an energy, Mars is the god of war. Mars is headstrong. Mars is action. Mars is pushing outward. In medical astrology, Mars is acute diseases. Mars is heat, is fever. It's Mars speeds things up. Mars heats things up. Mars has to do with anger. It's quarrelsome. Just understand wherever Mars is, there's going to be action. There's going to be things happening on a physical. Mars represents physical energy. So when Mars is around, you get up off the couch and you do something about it. Mars is not a stagnant energy. If Mars is used in a stagnant way, it can make you sick. So Mars energy needs to be expressed. It's very important. You don't want to stifle Mars energy. You don't want to dampen it down. You want it to be expressed. But in this case, we want it to be expressed consciously. And I'll tell you why. Because it's right there with Saturn. Saturn is the exact opposite of Mars. Saturn is, whereas Mars is about pushing out, it's very masculine in its thrust. Masculine only meaning outward, pushing outward, external. Saturn is more of a feminine, only meaning that it draws in, it contracts, it consolidates, it's more steadfast. Saturn is about integrity. Saturn is about doing things the right way. Saturn is very considered, it's very discerning. In medical astrology, it's extreme too, however. It rules chronic diseases, it rules cancer, not the sign of cancer, but the condition of cancer. It rules that condensing, consolidating. So when we're talking about these two energies, we're talking about two very different energies on two ends of the extreme. So how do we use it? How do we use one energy at one end, one energy at the other end when they're together like that? Well, um, because Mars is a physical energy, how I like to use Mars when it's together with Saturn, when I see it, is I like to do physical things that require discipline. What is that? Well, whether it's Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, martial arts, something that requires you to be very considered about the physical actions that you are engaging in. That is a very, very strong way to use this energy because the energy is there. When these two planets get together, we're going to be feeling that desire to act, to do something. We may now at this point all be feeling a little, uh, you know, clamped down a little bit too much, like closed in, boxed in. Okay, that feeling may be there, and Mars wants to express that bursting out. Okay, and Saturn's right there, kind of holding us in. So how do we express that? Because when the two energies get together, the idea is not to just pretend like they're not there and ignore them. No, that causes problems. That causes real problems. That can make you sick. That can make you act out later on. So we want to express this energy. We want to move it. And I think, Tai Chi, yoga, Qigong, whatever it is. I mean, it could even be snowboarding or what, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if the parks are open right now. The point I'm trying to make is that if we find a way to use this energy in a very disciplined way, we can move it and it won't cause us any problems. It won't cause us any health issues. It'll free up the tension that we're feeling in our mind and our spirit. It'll move that energy and we can go about our business. So that's my advice on a physical level. On a more mental, psychological, social level, understand that this is happening at 0 degrees of Aquarius, fixed air. So this could be about communication. If we're not using the energy physically, maybe we need to say something. Maybe there's something that we want to express to the world, or another person or something. Mars may be pushing us to maybe be more confrontational or take action, but in a verbal, more communicative way as opposed to a physical way. If that's the case, then the guidance here is to be, I think the word would be incisive. Be very considered about what you're saying and how you're saying it. It's important if you need to say something or if there's something that needs to get out and a point that needs to be made. It is important to voice that or to put words on that. However, I would recommend using fewer words, saying less, being more considered about how you're saying what you're saying, because the temptation is going to be to throw it all out there and just say everything you need to say and just be very expressive with that. But right now, anything that's over the top or in time will be considered to be over the top, there's going to be consequence for it with Saturn. So just be aware of that. Any kind of communication right now, maybe say less. Make sure that the words you say are powerful, to the point, and sharp. And leave it at that. Until we get later into the week, into the weekend, then things are going to change. We'll have new energies to deal with at that time that I'm going to make videos for. But for right now, try to use this energy, this Mars energy, in a very constructive, very disciplined manner, whether it's in your physical activity or the words that you speak. And you'll come out all right. You'll be fine. You can actually make great progress. Saturn is a builder planet, and Mars likes to create. Mars likes to be productive. Use these energies. It can be a great positive influence, but they are very extreme. So it's a skill. It's a skill to manage them. It's a skill to integrate them. That's the work of being human. Okay. So yeah, that's what I got for you. Go to work and see what you can do. See what you can create. All right. So I'll see you on my next video. We'll have new energies coming in a couple days, and we'll talk about that when we get there. All right. Thank you for joining me.